I know this is a long story, but I figured just get it all out so everyone knows what's going on. Hi guys! If you saw the title, you know what this video is about.
Who's the bad man? Who can draw?
So this video is a little bit different. I haven't really posted in a minute, and as you can see from the title of this video, there's a reason why. So I guess I should start this off by saying, Happy New Year, guys! Happy 2026. As you can see from the title, and from this little brace I have on, I had back surgery. So I want to start this off by saying shout out to Mic Cover, which is awesome for the Shure and 7B. We got orange, we got green, we got blue, so we don't forget. Check that out. Blue. In yellow, which I'm just realizing right now with my band, I got the orange game going on. Anyways, this video is a little bit different. I just want to talk about it. Normally, I feel like I wouldn't. I actually made a post on my Instagram about this. I feel like I normally wouldn't talk about it, but I want it to be one of those things where, you know, I look back in the future, I'm like, hey, you know, like all my other videos, and I'm like, hey, remember that time when this was going on? So I want to give some backstory. Also, you know, maybe someone else is out there and they have the same thing going on, so, you know, maybe this video helped them. So, I would say most of my life, I'd say in teenage into adult years, I've dealt with back pain. I'd say, especially the last few years, maybe like a time or two a year, I would just kind of throw it out, just move a little bit the wrong way. Normally, I feel like it would be when I went to if I stopped going to the gym and wasn't working on my back, I would throw it out. But this year was different. So around May, I want to say I threw my back out. I actually wrote on my phone when I did. I can tell you right now, because I remember I started deciding, I'm like, you know, I'm going to start writing back pain. So let's see. So last year I kind of threw it out 3 times. May 19th, then started again on 7/1, lasted a little over a week, and then right at the end of July, July 26th. This year it was May 18th, and then exactly a month later on the 19th of June. So May 18th, I don't remember what happened. I think I just woke up and it was hurting. And so the back pain lasted about a week. Back pain went away, and then I had pain in my leg, which was kind of weird because I've had it in the past before, like back pain, but it kind of went away. But this one was different. I remember we went on our June vacation, which you can check out the vlogs for that. We went on the June vacation, and when that happened, I remember sitting in the car, like, in pain in my leg. I'm just like, what is going on? So I Googled it. I said it was sciatica, but I remember specifically at Dutch Bros, we got out of the car, because normally I would get in the car, it would kind of hurt, we walk around, it would go away. That time it didn't feel like it was going away. And I remember, you might see on my face, but I think that's part of the reason I didn't show my face, because I was in pain. I was trying to hide it from them, too. And I remember just barely could walk at that time, because I'm like, man, I'm in just so much pain. Then Felicia and I went golfing, which turns out you shouldn't do that if you have sciatica. And I remember sitting in the golf cart like, man, this really hurts. So then it was like a day or two later, I went back to work. Everything was fine. I remember during the time when I was working, my back was out and my leg was hurt, and I could barely walk at work too. I was like, what is going on? So then it got worse. So when we went to the Jack's Mannequin show, which I was going to wear my Bruise shirt, but I don't remember where I put it. Anyways, we went to the Jack's Mannequin concert. I woke up that day. I remember taking off the day of work. I remember waking up, I was like, man, my back really hurts. If you watch Felicia's vlog, you can see it too, Broke Girl Travels. And we ate something, saw Ben. It rained, and then we left to go get me some stuff for my back. We got some Tylenol, and we got some Target branded, basically like Tiger Balm, and which Tylenol did nothing ever for me. So then we saw the show. I remember we stood up, and I was really in pain that night. I ended up, the next day wasn't too bad, but I was like, I can deal with it, whatever. Well, then Saturday, I wake up for work, and I had to wake up at like 2:30, and I remember waking up, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to make it. So, and then it kind of subsided. I'm like, okay. And then I get to work, and I sit down at my computer, and like log in. I go to stand up, and I'm like, I can barely move. So, like, I could do my job, but it just hurt to walk. So I remember sitting there, I'm like, man, I don't know. It's like, what should I do? And I'm like, let me just see what the walk-in has, because I need medicine. And because I'm the type of person that doesn't like to go to the doctor all the time. I mean, I have doctor appointments because just the last few years, just because of health, just trying to keep up with it. And I was thinking, damn, this sucks. So I found an appointment for, I forget, it was like 9:30 or something. Or no, I think it was like 10 or 10:30. And then I looked, I was like, I don't know if I want to wait that long. And then I looked, and there were like one opened up like an hour before that. I was like, screw it. So I was like, well, let me get this stuff done. I was done at work at this point, but I'm like, well, let me see what's going on. So I finished that, and then I remember I got to the walk-in because I went to urgent care instead, and I would tell them my pain, whatever. They like try to get me to bed, like, oh, stop. So they said, oh, well, you got sciatica, just like you said. They gave me some steroids and antibiotics, like hopefully it kicks its butt. They said, follow up your doctor if you still have pain. So I want to say it was maybe like the Wednesday or Thursday next week. I really didn't feel any relief. So I went to my doctor. So I went and seen the doctor, and they're like, oh, it is sciatica. Like, you probably should get an MRI. But with insurance, you have to do physical therapy first. I was like, of course. So I did physical therapy. I did 2 months of 2 times a week. Around this time, it was still around the same. I was still having trouble walking. It would kind of subside and then come back. And then I remember right before I went, I was doing PT. Like, everything was going good. We even did a thing where I was like doing a bunch of like climbing and stuff. I was like, everything's going good. I seen the doctor. Like, how's it going? I'm like, I feel a lot better. Like, I'm not really having pain. I'm not really taking pain medicine. Not taking the muscle relaxers you guys gave me. She was like, all right, great. So, actually, no, sorry, that's the physician's assistant. They said, that's great. We're going to hold off on the MRI, and we'll see you again in, I think it was like another 6 weeks or something. And we'll go from there. So, it's like, okay. I want to say maybe 2 or 3 days after that, the pain came back. And it wasn't as bad as before, but it was there. I'm just like, come on. I thought I was done with this. So I had to write my doctor again. I remember even at PT, like, oh, we see your doctor about that you had a lot of pain problems again. I'm like, yeah, like, what'd you do? I'm like, nothing. It just kind of came back. I went and I did that PT. I'm like, oh, let's see what happened. And then I remember even the PT guy saying, he's like, well, you have X amount of PT sessions left, and you're supposed to come back next week. We'll talk to your doctor, because I had an appointment at this point. They're like, talk to your doctor, see what they want to do, because you don't want to waste all your appointments, because you only get X amount per year. I was like, okay. So I went to the doctor, and right away, she was like, yep, you're going to have an MRI. I was like, I figured that was going to happen. Set me up with an MRI, set me up with pain management. She's like, you're going to call some of these people, set up the appointments. I'm like, okay. I'm like, what should I do with my PT? She's like, cancel it, because she's like, if it's something where you might need surgery, and you're going to need PT, you're going to need those appointments. I'm like, okay. So I canceled it. This was all going on around the time when I went to Florida again with Felicia and saw Kevin. And we went to, where did we go? Oh, we went to the Halloween event. Because I remember being in pain. And then, like, we kind of took that vacation easy because of that. And we're also kind of writing. But we're like, let's take it easy because your leg, whatever. I remember even, you didn't see it because I didn't show it all in, like, the vlog, whatever. But I remember we even discussed, like, hey, like, good, to make sure I was going, like, okay with my leg. Because Kevin had actually dealt with sciatica years ago. I forget when, but I remember he said it's like one of the worst things he wouldn't work on his worst enemy. I said, I agree. We decided to get the MRI scheduled, and it ended up being scheduled. I had a vacation already that week, and we scheduled it for that Friday. And then I was supposed to see pain management, like, I think it was like 10 days or 20 days after that. I forget how long it was. But I remember I set up the appointment for both. And then, because I remember I was going to, like, I'm going to need the day off at work, and it's all me thinking about. So I was like, you know what? I'll just do it the week of vacation. Because either I do it that week or I had to push it off a few more weeks. I was like, screw it. I remember telling Felicia, I was like, hey, we got this week planned. We haven't really booked anything yet because we were seeing if, like, Jamal was going to go and Alexander could go. And we're like, oh, maybe we'll drive somewhere. I'm like, well, either way, I have to be back Thursday because I have that appointment Friday. So we end up going to Florida that, I don't remember if we left Sunday or Monday. I think we left Sunday. I forget. Anyways, so first of all, we saw Yellow Card. Fantastic. It's where I bought this hat, which I'm just realizing now. I didn't do this on purpose. I'm wearing a Yellow Card hat and Yellow Card shirt. I feel like I need to switch the microphone thing. So hold on one second. Easy as 1, 2, 3. That's what Mike cover says. So I got yellow for yellow card. So anyway, we go to the yellow card show, which that's a whole event. Seeing that I bought this hat. I probably should wear my Better Days shirt. So we went to yellow card, had that whole thing. I wasn't in too much pain around then. I actually was okay. It was funny because we actually ended up staying the extra day because our flight and everything, and we saw Kevin, and we said, "I'll see you in a week." So yeah, that's right. So we flew in Monday. We saw Kevin. Went to Epcot. I was kind of in pain, but it wasn't too bad. The same kind of thing. That one's like, "Oh, we'll take it easy." Felicia even let me chill on the couch for a little bit. For sleeping that night. Then the other nights I was like, I'll just sleep on the air mattress, whatever. So we left Thursday. I will say before the MRI, I just had it in my head. I'm like, I know I need surgery. Everyone's like, no, maybe you don't. You know, maybe you'll be fine. And I was like, something's telling me I'm gonna have to have surgery. And I remember being on that vacation. The only time I was not stressed out about that MRI was when I was at Disney at Epcot, which you should totally watch that vlog. But I remember even telling Felicia, because she was like, oh, we gotta go. I was like, no, I agree. I was like, it's on my head. I was like, screw it, let's just go. And the whole time we're at Disney, like, I was in a little bit of pain. I had some meds with me. Besides that, like, I was not thinking about the MRI at all that entire day. It was amazing. Guardians of the Galaxy, make sure you ride it.
What have we done? I think we're jumping back.
We got back Thursday. Friday, my parents, will shout out to them, gave me a ride to my MRI. I remember I showed up early because they gave me something for anxiety. And I remember sitting there. It just kind of felt like it melted away a little bit. Didn't really do anything. But I remember them like, oh, what sound do you want to, like, music you want to listen to? I was like, oh, we'll do Yellow Card, which I want to point out too. When I was changing, I locked the door. I heard an older lady and another nurse. And I went to change. And I'm changing. I was sitting, like, I was already changed at this point. I was grabbing my stuff. All of a sudden, I heard the lady trying to open the door. She's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, it's okay. And then I walked out there as I put my stuff away. The other nurse came in with someone else. She's like, see, I told you he was back there. She's like, oh, I came back to grab it and you weren't there. I was like, oh, I was still changing. She's like, oh, okay. Better Days came out that day. I was like, oh, put it on. Which Felicia and I actually went to and we're back. You didn't see it, but my camera just died, so I had to put a new battery in it. Anyway, so if the camera looks a little off, that's why. Where were we? MRI. So I went to the MRI. Night before, Felicia and I actually went to a Yellow Card album listening party, which was pretty awesome. That was pretty dang cool. So I went to the MRI. I remember they're like, normally we put people feet first. We're going to put you, or head first. We're going to put you feet first. I was like, okay, sweet. They put me in, gave me headphones. Just being like chill, like whatever, like just try not to move. Pretty much sounds like Skrillex, just like Charles Trippie had said. So I did the MRI. They're like, oh, you get your results, whatever. So my parents took me home because I couldn't drive. I thanked them, whatever. I was kind of laid around. I was like, I don't know. So I went back to work Monday. I remember Tuesday, I got this email. It says, my doctor reviewed your recent MRI results. Please see recommendations below. I have placed this referral in for you to be seen ASAP. I'll provide you with the contact information to schedule. This is what my doctor said. This is from the nurse. Please refer patient to orthospine ASAP. He has a large disc extrusion that might require surgical intervention. So this was the 14th. This was a few days afterwards. I'm just like, come on. Like, I knew it. Like, there it is. I'm just like, geez. So I told my coworker the next day, I'm like, hey, I'm waiting for these phone calls. I'm just telling you, like, I might be off. I don't know what's going on. They ended up calling me. I ended up scheduling it. I think it was the next Monday. They called and like some stuff was going on. I'm like, oh, I got to grab this call. They're like, oh, well, you can do it in Oak Creek, Pleasant Prairie. I think there's a Milwaukee or something. I remember specifically the person saying, we could do you in Pleasant Prairie, but that's going to take too long. We need to get you in sooner than that. I'm like, oh, this is pretty serious. So we ended up scheduling, I think it was for the next Monday, and it ended up being Oak Creek. So I remember driving there with my mom, us talking about just stuff, just trying to get my mind off it. And everyone was like, oh, you won't need surgery, you'll be fine. I'm like, I'm telling you, I'm going to need surgery. So we get in, the guy comes in right away. He's like, yeah, you're going to need surgery. So he's explaining it and this and that. He's like, you almost seem like you expected that outcome. I'm like, I did. I'm like, because I already did all the PT, I did all the steroids. He's like, yeah. He's like, at this point, you're just pretty much just waiting. It's pretty much just going to hold off the inevitable, which is surgery. It's like, okay. I'm like, well, that sucks. So he's like, oh, you're probably off 6 weeks. So right now I'm just past a month after the surgery. So I have an appointment in a few weeks, and then actually 10 days from today, I have an appointment, and then we'll see if I go back to work or if I take more time off. Anyways, so you're going to need surgery. I'm relieving. I was like, I knew it. And then I'm trying to remember all these thoughts because it's a lot. I know. So then I had my x-ray that day, and then they're like, oh, they're going to call. And I was like, I knew it. I knew this was going to happen. I remember just life being super stressful around this time, and I'm just trying to figure out, about this whole back surgery. Like, I'm just I'm just sitting there thinking like, man, how much is it gonna cost, even with insurance, and then got all this other stress going on at the same time. I'm just like, oh, this is a lot. That's all going on, and then I think they're like, oh, we'll call you in a week or two, and we'll get you scheduled. So they called, I want to say just about a week afterwards, and they said we have two dates. It's either December 9th or December 23rd. I said, give me December 9th, because I'm thinking I don't want to be at Christmas thinking, man, this sucks. So I'm like, okay. So they scheduled me for December 9th. Like, oh, it's gonna be early, whatever. Like, we'll call you around that to figure out your medications. I was like, okay. Around this time, I'm not too much in pain. This was like the middle of October. I ended up canceling the pain management because I ended up seeing my doctor again a few weeks after that, just for a regular checkup. She's like, oh, well, everything going on with your back, whatever, still keep the appointment. It wasn't like I said, 2, almost maybe 3 weeks at that point. She's like, still come in. We'll see where you're at. Go from there. And she's like, oh, just cancel pain management. I only gave that to you so you wouldn't have to go with pain. But now since you have surgery, it's a whole nother thing. So we went along, just went cancel that, which was funny because they kept calling me like, oh, reschedule. And then I wasn't able to answer it. And then I finally answered it. They're like, do you still want this? I'm like, well, I need surgery now, so now I have to wait. They're like, oh, well, never mind. We did that. And then at this time, I'm doing fine. And then I remember it was the week before Thanksgiving. I remember my coworker was off. He was on vacation, and I was at work. And we're position I'm in, it's either only one of us can take vacation at a time. And I remember I was at work one day. We had like some morning meetings, whatever. And I remember walking up the steps, and I just felt my back just tighten. Week before Thanksgiving, and this was a Tuesday. I'm like, oh no. So remember, I sat in a chair. I'm like, maybe I can get up. And then I got up, tried to walk, and I could barely move. I sat there for 2 hours almost. And then I finally texted my boss, like, hey, can you like come down and see me when you get a chance? She came down, we talked, and I'm like, hey, like, I can't move. I can't do anything. I had a few people there like doing stuff, and I went and seen the one guy. He's like, you saw me walk. He's like, you okay? Because I feel like sometimes a back pain, people are like, oh, how are they doing? But then they saw me walk, and then they got worried. They're like, oh no. They're like, well, call your coworker, see if he'll come back from his vacation early, because he only took the days off just to take them off. And he called. He's like, yep, no problem. He's like, I'll be there. I had, at the same time that day, I also had to leave early because I had my pre-op stuff. So I left work early. I even texted him like, hey, I already told you I was leaving early, but I'm letting you know again, because I just told them. I was like, I'm telling you again, I have to leave early. So I left early, and then on my way home, I remember thinking, I can't drive because I had to go to Milwaukee. Called my mom. I'm like, hey, is there any way you guys can give me a ride for my appointment? And I could tell she got worried. I'm like, I can't really move. So she asked my dad. He's like, no, we got time. She's like, okay. So I remember I pulled in, and like, do we have time? Like, yeah, just come in. I had to like psych myself up to get out of my car. So I finally got out of my car, and then I saw Tatiana, and she's like, oh, I came to help. And she just looked pure like worry went over her face. She's like, I didn't know it was that bad. I'm like, I can bear it. She helped me walk in. As soon as I walked in the door, I remember Alexander was there. My parents, they're just like worry went over their face. Like, oh no. They took me. We did the pre-op thing. I'm just being in pain, and they're like, my mom had to wheel me in a wheelchair. A shot to my mom, MVP. So she did the wheelchair thing. They took blood. She's like, the only reason you had to come to Milwaukee, which is what the nurse told me, the lady or whatever. She's like, because they wanted a COVID test. And she's like, oh, we actually just had a COVID positive thing. That happened. So then they drew blood, and then they also, what did they do? EKG, sorry. I thought I was going to need an x-ray, but turns out I did it, so we didn't need it. We ended up stopping at Leon's right across the street because Felicia's like, you're needed. I was like, I know. We got it. I could barely enjoy it, though. And then I remember I went to put it in a cup holder, and it fell. I was like, damn it. And then this was Tuesday night. I ended up laying around, and they're like, you need to go to the walk. And I was like, screw it. I already have tomorrow off because I took the next day off. I'm like, I'm just going to go in. So I went to the walk-in. They're like, oh, we might have to just admit you to the ER, which at this point I kind of wish they did. They did not. They said, oh, here's some more stronger meds. Like, you might have to cut these in half. These are real strong. They didn't do a thing. So Wednesday, I dealt with it all day Wednesday, and then I remember I still couldn't move, so I'm still at my parents' house at this point. And then, so I texted my boss and coworker. I'm like, hey, I'm not going to make it in Thursday. I still can't make it in. So then Thursday, I woke up. I was feeling a little bit better. I remember Karina gave me her walker when she had a walker for a little bit when she messed up her knee. Walking around the house like, oh, look, I can do it. But they had to like literally help me stand up because I could barely stand. Which we had tickets to Wicked for good. I'm like, they're like, cancel it. I'm like, I'm telling you right now, we're not canceling. We're going to go. So we go. Jamal see me. He's like, what's going on? He's like, you're having trouble walking. I'm like, yeah. I was like, I still been at my parents' house. She's like, hopefully. She's like, you didn't tell me you're still at his parents' house. She's like, I didn't know. I said, I didn't tell her to just now. I said, I never left mom and dad yet. I'm still there. They're like, man, we saw the movie. I remember just moving around the whole time being in pain. I'm like, this sucks. And then it was funny because afterwards, everyone's like, you're not going to work. You're not going to work. Because my coworker texted me. He's like, I'm going to try and come in. Walking into the movie I had to stop like 3 times because I was having trouble walking. And the way back was the same thing. So I'm in the car with Thaddeus. We're kind of joking. All of a sudden, if he was going to take me home, which he's at first, that's what I thought, that would he go left or he go right to go to my parents' house. All of a sudden, he took a right. So you're taking me back to your house? He said, you're not going to work tomorrow. I said, what? I texted Felicia and Alexandra. I'm like, Daddy's just took me back to Mom and Dad's. They're like, good. I remember Thaddeus walked in. He said, I got you something special. And like, it's Jeremy. They're like, they looked at me. You're not going to work. I said, I know. So that night I had trouble sleeping again. Shout out to Johnny, gave me his bed. I know this is a long story, but I figured just get it all out so everyone knows what's going on. Plus, then it's easier for me to, like, again, say, look back and see all this. So then the next morning, I remember I could barely sleep because I thought about going to the ER on Thursday. I didn't. And Friday, because I remember I woke up extra early because I had to go to work. And then my coworker texted me back. He's like, no problem, I'll be into work. So then I'm like, I can't come in. Like, I'm still in pain. It's not going to work. So then I finally woke up. I said, screw it. I'm going to the ER. John had, I think, one of Alexander's dogs had an appointment or something. I had to wait. And as soon as John got home, because I already told my mom and dad, I was like, I'm going to go to the ER. And my dad was busy doing something. As soon as John walked in, I'm like, John, can you take him to the ER? He said, yes. He's like, when do you want to go? I said, as soon as you can. Within, like, I'd say 5-10 minutes, we were gone. My mom went and got a wheelchair. Oh, no, there was no wheelchair because I remember I walked in. My mom was like, are you sure? I'm like, yep. We're standing there, and I was telling the lady everything, and she's like, do you need a wheelchair? I said, no, I should be okay. My mom's like, take the wheelchair. And then I didn't notice, but I looked down. My whole body was shaking from just trying to stand from being in so much pain. I was like, oh, I guess I do need it. So they gave it to me. Took me to a room to take my vitals, whatever. And then they said, oh, your heart rate's pretty fast. I was like, oh, like, what would you rate your pain? I'm like, probably a 10 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 right now, I think I said. Like, oh, I was like, is it usually that fast? I'm like, no. So then they brought someone else in there asking me about it. And then like, oh, it could just be that you're in that much pain. So then they took me to the back. They were going to put the IV in. The lady was like, the nurse was like, do you want me to let you know when I'm going to put the IV in? I'm like, oh, or you can surprise me. She's like, yes or no. I'm like, just do it. Because, like, I don't like needles. I ended up having a bruise on my arm, which I blame the dogs for. I won't apologize for that. They gave me the IV. They were giving me some. I remember just laying there like, oh, I'm in so much pain. And then the lady came in. She was asking what was going on. I was like, oh, I have the surgery coming up for this, whatever. And she's like, well, we can't give you certain meds because you're so close to your surgery. I was less than 2 weeks of surgery at this point. And she was like, okay. Or no, just over 2 weeks. And she's like, oh, we can only give you this stuff, whatever. And then, so she's like, okay, we're going to give you this. We'll give you a prescription of this. And that should help. Because I remember I also wrote my surgeon and like, oh, we can't give you we don't really prescribe anything, but we give you gabapentin. So that's supposed to help. But they didn't send it in time. ER doctor was asking, like, have you started it yet? I'm like, no, I just got it. She's like, well, start it. Because it's supposed to be first day you do 1, then so many days you do 2, then 3. She's like, skip that. She's like, immediately go take 1 today, take 2 tomorrow, and go to 3 like immediately. It's like, okay, because it's supposed to help with your nerve pain. I remember her asking, she's like, when are you supposed to go back to work? I'm like, technically tomorrow. She said, okay, you can go back Monday. She's like, or do you need more time than that? I said, no, that'd be fine. She's like, okay, you can go back Monday. She said, or do you want Tuesday? I said, no, Monday's fine. So I was like, dang it, okay. So I remember texting the picture to my boss and my coworker. I'm like, hey, I'm not back till Monday. They're like, okay, no problem. I'm like, feel better. Came back Monday and my coworker was actually like, oh, you're back to 100%. I'm like, not even close. He saw me walk. He's like, oh. It's like, yeah, I'm like, he's like, were you able to walk? I'm like, yeah, because I'm on painkillers. He's like, oh. He's like, I thought you were back. I said, no, because he wasn't taking more days off. He's like, I'll just wait. So this was right before Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving was fine, whatever. So once the meds kicked in, I ended up feeling fine. And then I'm trying to think. Everything was fine up until surgery as far as pain. I mean, I still was stressed out big time from the surgery. Like, anyways. So I was super stressed out for the surgery because in my mind, I'm just like, this is ridiculous. So then I go for the surgery. December 9th was my surgery. December 8th, because I already talked to my parents at the time, like, oh, you can just stay here, like have someone watch you 24/7, whatever. Plus I was like, it's fine with me. I don't got to worry about anything. So the night before December 8th, I went to my parents' house and we went to Walmart. I think we were up kind of late if I think about it, because I didn't want to go to bed. I bought some snacks and some stuff. I was like, oh, I'm going to buy some snacks. That way it's already at the house. I had to take a special shower too with some special soap they gave me. And then I was just like kind of in a daze, just being like, I'm about to have back surgery. This is crazy. And I remember my parents talking about the road or something. I was like, I honestly didn't even pay attention. I responded, but I was just like, I'm just kind of out of it. So I got there. I'll throw a few pictures up you didn't see if you didn't see on Instagram, but here's me before I change in the outfit, or the gown, I guess you could say. Here's me sitting in the bed, which is funny because when the guy put the needle in for my IV, he was talking. I was like, yeah, I'm not a big fan of needles or blood. And then I remember feeling wetness on my arm because he was taking blood. He's like, yeah, do not look over here. He's like, you got really good veins. Afterwards, he's like, okay, you're good. Looking at my mom, she's like, it was squirting out everywhere. It's like, man, I went in for a microdiscectomy, which I'll throw up the picture again right here. So what it is basically you have gel between your discs. This is the way they explained it to me. Because I'll be honest, when they sent me the letter, I read it and I started to freak out. This was a few weeks before the surgery, and I remember my coworker asked me something to do at work, and I looked at him, and he was just kind of like, I was like, oh, sorry, to say something? He responded, I said, sorry. I said, they sent me a thing about my surgery, and I started reading it. He's like, I wouldn't read that. I said, yeah, that's what happened. I read it and freaked myself out. He started laughing. I said, yeah. I said, I need to put my phone down. So we discussed what we're talking about. So I went in for the surgery. So basically you have discs, and you have gel between your discs. Well, from what he said, the gel squirted out, and it's pushing on my nerve. That's what's causing sciatica. So what they need to do is basically create a window and suck it out, and then sew you back. Well, not sew you back up. They use glue, but put it back together. That's what the surgery is. And I remember they gave me socks. Like, oh, you're going to change your socks before you go. I remember they even gave me special, like, wipes to wipe my body down before, and it was crazy. And then my parents came in, and because my parents gave me a ride. My mom was like, oh, I forgot my phone. I was like, crap. So then I remember they're like, do you want to add anybody? I'm like, actually, let me add my dad so we can get the text. So, because he got the text from surgery. The doctor was like, oh, everything's going to go good, whatever. I remember just being nervous, laying in the bed, and then they're like, something about my blood type, which I just realized I still don't know my blood type. I need to ask my doctor about that. So anyways, blood started shooting out again. So we're sitting there, we're just talking, just kind of just trying to get my mind off it, even though I'm in this room. Then the lady came and she's like, okay, time to take you. And then here's a picture my dad took. So I'm like, hey, let's go. And I'm just freaking out. We're talking about, I forget how we got into talking about cookies and my parents. And I was like, yeah, my mom said she's going to make me peanut butter cookies, what she did. I need to ask for more. Delicious. So I had the peanut butter we talking about peanut butter cookies. And then as they're wheeling me in, she's like, oh, it's going to get cold. And I'm starting to get more scared. I'm like, can't believe this is really happening. So they wheel me in. And I remember my first thought was they never took off my socks. They didn't ever put the grippy socks on. I was like, well, crap. So they're like, oh, lean forward. We're going to undo your gown. It's like, okay. I remember I leaned down. They're like, okay, a couple deep breaths. And then they're like, oh, you're going to feel warm or whatever. And then I think it was like the third breath. Next thing I know, I'm opening my eyes and I'm looking around. And I said something to the nurse. She's like, oh, you're in recovery. I was like, oh, okay. And then she said something. I don't remember what I responded back. And I remember she responded, and I responded to her, oh, I'm sorry. She's like, oh, don't worry about it. Next thing I know, I wake up and I see my parent. I open my eyes and I'm like, oh, hey, it's my parents. Like, oh, I'm in recovery. I'm like, what time? Or no, I was back in the room. Like, when did you get here? You've been here for so long. And then I guess I dozed off because I opened my eyes again. I look. I'm like, did I like go to sleep again? They're like, yeah, you kind of dozed in and off for like another 20 minutes. I was like, oh, okay. And then I remember the nurse came and was like, oh, you're awake. I was texting a few people back, and my mom was like, be careful who you're texting. Because I remember I was texting my pastor beforehand too. He's like, oh, good luck, whatever. And he's like, I'll pray for you. Well, she's a cool dude. Shout out to Britt. The nurse came in. He's like, oh, do you want to, because I remember he came in at one point. He's like, do you want to try and leave? He's like, we're not rushing you. Just like, whatever. It's like, no, I'm good. And the next time I was like, I just want to get out of here. I was like, yes. Parents walked out, which I thought they're going to stand outside. Turned out they went to the thing. And he's like, okay. And I remember him going to like help take my gown off and stuff. He's like, do you want me to leave? I said, at this point, I said, I don't care. I said, just help me put my clothes on. So I helped me put my clothes on, my shoes. And then he's like, oh, do you want me to bring your parents back in? I said, sure. He looked out. He's like, well, they're gone. So I guess I'm going to help you. So he got me a wheelchair. He pushed me out. My dad like brought the car up, whatever. And then I got in. I joked before about going Leon. So they took me to Leon's frozen custard. This time I actually got to enjoy it, which here's a picture of me being done with it, which was delicious. So I got home. I think I have the video of me getting in and me walking down because they gave me a step, which is pretty cool. I'm fine. I just feel like I need some kind of support. I feel it on my right now. Definitely. Hello. They have you on your belly. Oh, now John's going to clip that. Put in the family chat. Jeremy feels it in his butt. So I got in, and then I remember right away the dogs wanted to jump, and Tatiana's like holding him down. She's like, don't do it. Don't do it. But they're like, Uncle Jeremy's back. So this was Tuesday. The story does not end here. So I do have this belt on, as you can see. Basically, I have to wear it anytime I'm walking, which I had it on that day. Anytime I'm up and walking, I have to have it on. So I remember Tuesday, I was just sore. Wednesday, I was starting to have complications. So Thursday, my family went to a Jonas Brothers concert, which they found out after they booked it. All of a sudden, they're like, hey, Jeremy just said that, or then I told them what the date was, and all of a sudden they figured out. I said, hey, Jeremy Jeremy has a surgery a few days before. So they got Felicia to quote unquote babysit me. Telling Felicia, I was like, oh, if you want to leave early, it's fine, whatever, don't worry about it. But I remember she got there, I was having trouble. So then we're going back and forth, and then she's like, any luck? She's like, no. And then I remember at one point, she's like, I'm gonna go get you this stuff. It should clean you right out. I was like, okay. It didn't help. She said she got there at one point, and I heard the dogs barking. I was like, I'm in the bathroom. This might be discussing TMI, but I'm gonna tell it all, guys. TMI, I was like, whatever. I was like, I'm in the bathroom. She said she heard me say help. I said, oh no. I couldn't go, and then that caused another problem. I'll just say that. And then I remember laying on the couch, and my stomach just went like that. All of a sudden, my stomach was kind of hurting throughout the day, but it was like unbearable at this point. And Felicia she got home, and she saw me. She's like, we're going to the ER. I said, no, we're not. We're going to the ER. No, we're not. So I remember she sat me up. She's like, we're going to go home. I'm like, no. And then I lay back down. I got up, and I lay back down. And then I think it was like the third time or something, my family came, and then I'll show the picture of them looking worried about me right now. And they got there, they sat me up. I was like, I just want to lay back down. I want to lay back down. They said, no, I laid back down. And then thinking about this part really sucks. I ended up having a panic attack. And Felicia's very comforting, but I remember just like, I could not stop crying. And even thinking about it makes me kind of emotional because it was a very hard time. And I remember freaking out, having a panic attack. And then the thing that worried me the most was looking at my family, looking at how worried they were. And then they got me up. Soon Felicia finally got me to her car. I'm like, I need to stop. They're like, you're almost there. Like, just go, just go. And then as soon as I got in her car, I threw up. Thankfully, she had a bag. And then I don't know why, but I remember telling Tatiana, I'm like, can you just hold my hand to make me feel better? So we got to the ER, and then Felicia ran in and told me what was going on. So they brought me a wheelchair outside, and that night was tough. So they brought me the wheelchair, and then I guess they thought I had back pain, so they wheeled me in and like, oh, about back pain. I'm like, it's stomach pain. I remember Felicia and my mom went back there with me. Alexander, Tatiana, and John stayed in the car. And this was just after midnight, I think I got there, maybe a little before. And they're like, oh, it's stomach pain. I'm like, yeah. So I started explaining, like, you just had surgery. I'm like, yeah. So I'm explaining, like, oh. So they gave me some meds, did nothing. So I ended up helping me take care of it. I'll just say that. I'm pretty sure you can figure out what they did. And I remember they did it twice. And I remember the first time they kept calling, like, everything okay? I'm like, yep, I'm good. And I guess at this point, my family's asking, like, is everything going okay? Like, hey, he's still going. And then I was able to go. And then I remember the second time I was on and off. And then I remember laying down. I must have fell asleep at some point. And then the nurse came in and was like, you doing okay? I was like, yeah. Like, you good? I was like, I think we're good, done at this point. So, like, okay. So they had me, I kind of chilled there for a little bit. And then at some point, they're like, okay. I remember, I forget how long it was. I think they gave me more meds. I remember they gave me morphine. It did nothing. And then, so they're like, okay. What happened after that? I don't even know what time it is because I had my phone, but I wasn't even looking at my phone at this point. And then I remember them saying, okay, it's time to go home. And I just remember being so exhausted. And then them wheeling me out, and then found out it's like almost 6 a.m. And they're like, okay, we gave you this meds and you got to go to pick it up at this, because they're like, our place isn't open to 7. You need to go. So I'm like, oh, take me to this Walgreens 24/7. So when Felicia took me, and I'm like, you guys are all here? She's like, of course. She's like, we never left. I'm like, but don't you have work, whatever? She's like, I'm going to take care of it. Alexander's like, I took care of it. And I remember Thaddeus was off because he had surgery on his hand, which that was a whole thing. We joked about us being in the beds next to each other, which that was horrible. They took me to Walgreens. I bought the stuff I needed. And then I remember I went home, and then I got home, my parents' house. So then we got there because Felicia was going to stay the night anyway. And then, like, she ended up going to work later, and so did Alexander. But I remember just getting there and seeing my dad awake. I was like, you stayed up all night? He's like, oh, yeah, the dogs come running in. He's like, me and the dogs stayed up all night. I was like, oh, everyone stayed up. Like, yeah, we were worried about you. So I remember I went to sleep. I woke up late the next day. I remember still having problems. And then finally I was able to, I'll just say, the problem took care of itself at a certain point. I'll just say that. It was painful, but I was able to take care of business. After that, everything has been okay. So where I'm at right now, I have my 2-week post-op. You cannot go to work for at least another month. I remember they took off, because I had like this saran wrap looking thing, and they took that off, and there was like, no, Alexander took that off. And then there was 2 little, because I couldn't shower for 5 days. I waited 6 because I was scared, which I felt horrible that I couldn't take a shower for that long. But I took the shower, we took the one thing off, and then there's like little stick strips or something. They took those off. And then like another 4 weeks, I was like, okay. She's like, well, you can lift 10 pounds now, 10 to 15. then I asked my doctor, I was like, hey, I'm a musician, like, can I play instruments? They're pretty much like, no. Pretty much like, if you do, you hurt yourself, it's on you. So I'm like, no instruments. I can't play any instruments. So I'm at a 10-pound weight limit. I have to wear this brace. Anytime I'm up and moving around. I don't have to use it when I'm sitting, but I like when I'm sitting because it makes me feel a bit better. So I can't lift 10 pounds. I can't twist. I can't bend. I can't play instruments, as I said. My next appointment is 10 days from today, which is the 23rd. We'll see from that. I should be able to go back to work, but maybe not, because I drive fork trucks and I move trailers and stuff, so it said it might be a little longer. I don't know. Yeah, so basically, I was at my parents' for over 3 weeks, and I was kind of nervous about going back home because which shout out to my entire family because they're the real MVPs, especially Tatiana. She's waking up at like 2 or 3 in the morning to give me meds, which if she did not, I would have been in serious pain. I just pretty much laid around for the first few weeks. Christmas. Now, Christmas as far as pain wasn't too bad, but I just remember the meds I was on, like some of the meds I was starting to wean off of them because like you can drive, but you can't take this narcotic during the day. So I started weaning off of that. I remember just my head, like I still feel bad about it. I was kind of blowing up at people, which I hate doing. And I remember people were a little late to dinner and I was ready to just like chime off in the family chat and be all mad about it, but I held back. I put a few GIFs or whatever. And then I remember it was Alexandra. I think it was Tatiana. I think John, maybe. She's like, let's pray over Jeremy. Like, have Jeremy be okay and have him not like blow up at anybody, whatever. It actually did help. And then Felicia and Jamal walked right in and we're him just being like, you okay? I'm like, I'm trying really hard not to freak out right now. Like this meds are screwing with me. And what really set me off was we couldn't eat. I had to wait. I was hungry. And then I look and Thaddeus is having a roast beef sandwich and that just blew me up. Anyways, besides that, it's been fine. Shout out to my family again, because without them, like I said, Tatiana was waking up early nights. Anybody who has contacted me or sent me a text or called or whatever, I really appreciate it. Anyone who has given me a ride somewhere, just anything in general, I cannot thank you enough. You really, truly appreciate all the help. I know this has been a really long video, but I really just wanted to make sure I covered everything. So I think I said it, but I'll just say it again. So where am I right now? I'm currently waiting. I'm on 10 pounds. So the worst part is I cannot lift more than 10 pounds until March, because that would be 12. I have to wait 12 weeks. It would be March 8th or 9th, something around there, around the surgery. And then after that, I know after this appointment, it's going to be discussing PT when I start with that, because I'm going to have to do all that. But I think it's going to be slow, but I'm hoping by this summer, because if we talk about the podcast, I don't think I'm talking about here. Carissa is actually dancing at Disney. So we're taking a big family trip. We're going to Disney. Going to see her dance. It's going to be fantastic. I cannot wait. Like, the thing I keep telling myself, I was telling Felicia and like the rest of my family, because, Felicia and I have our podcast, so we don't forget to talk about travel. I'm like, my main thing is that I won't be in pain when this comes to it, because I'm like, I need to make up for like all the golf I missed, all the traveling I missed, because Felicia and I were supposed to go at Christmas time and see Disney. She ended up going anyway, but that's a whole different story. We're supposed to take an RV trip. That didn't happen. So we're working on taking an RV trip, hopefully in April, crossing our fingers that it happens. We still need to get all that stuff figured out. We have the one in July, and then I have 3 other vacations I need to figure out. I know one I'm going to use for GTA 6, so hopefully that still comes out. But yeah, so I can't play any instruments, which sucks, because I have guitars right next to me here. I have my drum set in the next room over. It sucks that I cannot do that. But yeah, I just been kind of chilling, playing some video games as much as I can, laying around, watching Stranger Things, which I just watched the documentary last night. Tell me what you think about the finale. Comment down below. I can't think of anything else to say other than I truly appreciate you guys. If you watch this entire thing, which if you did, give me the code word. Let's see what's in here that I could say. Gifts and curses if you watch this entire thing. Just say that word and I'll know you watch this whole thing. So once again, I truly am appreciative, and I cannot thank everyone enough for everything they've done for me. Without all this, my support system, I would not be where I am right now, sitting in this chair talking to you guys. I wanted to get this out on the 9th, but it didn't happen because honestly, I was in a way kind of scared to make it, just because I knew how long it would be and how much I'd be talking about stuff. And it's not easy to talk about stuff like this, I'm sure Felicia and I will go over it in the podcast we got coming out next. Yeah, so again, sorry for the long video. I just want to let you guys know what's going on. Once again, shout out to my cover, Big Buddy for 10% off, Magic Candle Company 15% off, W Energy. Well, those codes would be so we don't forget. But yeah, make sure you check out my streams. I told myself I was gonna stream more, but something I've really tried to implement for myself for this recovery, because everyone keeps like putting like, take it easy, take your time, like do not rush. And because I'm like the type of person that like, I feel like I always have to be doing something. Like keep pushing off a project I've been working on, but at the same time, I'm like, you need to take your time. Like, do not rush this, because if you rush this, you're only going to hurt yourself. So I just been trying to take it as easy as I possibly can, and that's been kind of hard for me. But at the same time, I think I got to a point now where I'm okay with it. Just took a little bit to get there, but we are here now. So I can't think of anything else to say other than make sure you check out our signal. Check out our signal. Check out our I can't even speak. Debut single for Pointe Hope, which is To Be Frank. Check it out everywhere you listen to your music, so we don't forget podcast. Broco Travel, check out Leech. Auto Illusions, they just had a big video. That's a whole thing that was going on during all this. I'll let them tell their story because we had a podcast. We don't even think we talked about it, so we got to get them in the next podcast, talk about it. Other than that, check out my streams, check out music, everything. And so if you don't see me for a little while, this is another reason why I did this video. Now you know why. You probably won't be seeing me for a while. I'm hoping to do some vlogs in there, but then again, I don't know. So we'll see what happens. Once again, I truly appreciate and love every single one of you. Thank you. And yeah, we'll catch you in the next video. Make sure you like, subscribe, and the fun stuff, and we'll see you in the next one.